Hi folks, we're going to take a look at an exemplar of solving a trigonometric equation that's going to give us non-exact answers. So in this case here we have a linear trig equation. Okay, since the trig ratio is not combined with another trig ratio, it's not squared. Okay, so step number one, okay, is to solve for the trig ratio itself. Okay, so I want to isolate the trig ratio, so sine of 2x plus 4. And how do I do that? Well, I bring the 1 to the other side, gives me -1, and divide by 3. So I've got -1/3. All right. Now, the reason why I talked about non-exact answers is because this -1/3 doesn't represent a sine ratio of a special angle. Okay, so that means I will have to make approximations here to solve this problem. Okay, so now let's get to step 2. Step 2 is to determine two values within the first cycle between 0 and 2 pi for which sine is equal to -1/3. So first of all, we expect our answers are going to be in the third and fourth quadrants, since that's where sine is negative. And so the first way to do that is to use the inverse sine function. So the inverse sine function will give us one of those answers. All right. So here, remember, this whole input, 2x plus 4, is going to be equal to sine inverse of -1/3. Okay, so let's get our trusty calculator here. So sine inverse of -1/3 is 0.34, or -0.34. All right, so this gives us one answer, but of course there's another answer in that first cycle. So 2x plus 4 can also be equal to, well, what's the related angle identity that gives us the same sine value? Well, we know that sine of pi minus theta is going to be equal to sine of theta. So this angle will give us the same sine ratio. So here we have 2x plus 4 can also be equal to pi minus our original theta value here, -0.34. All right, so the other option is for 2x plus 4 to be equal to, and let's do 3.14 minus -0.34, and what do we get? 3.48. Okay. All right, so now step 3 is to solve for a variable. In this case here, it wasn't x that was equal to -0.34 or 3.48, it was 2x plus 4. So now let's solve for our variable. So x is just going to be equal to, okay, so here we're going to subtract 4 and then divide by 2. So -0.34 minus 4 and then divide by 2, and we get -2.17, and then we'll do the same thing for the other one. Okay, we've got 3.48 minus 4 and then divided by 2 is going to give us -0.26. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is that neither of these answers are actually going to be part of our solution set, because we're only looking for solutions between 0 and 12. So now comes step 4. How do we generate other answers? Well, we do that by adding or subtracting the period of the trig ratio we're working with. And this is where you have to be careful, because our period is not 2 pi anymore, because we're working with sine of 2x. So our period here is equal to 2 pi divided by the k value, which is 2. So that's equal to pi. Okay, so what I'm going to be adding or subtracting here all the time, in this case here I'm going to be adding pi, since they're negative and I only want positive answers, is I'm going to be adding 3.14 to all these answers to generate more. Okay, so let's start here. Put on this side. Okay, so let's start with -2.17, and let's start adding pi. So let's add pi to that, plus 3.14. Okay, there you go, 0.97. That's a valid answer. Okay, let's add pi again, 3.14, and there we go, 4.11. There's another valid answer. Okay, let's add pi again. Okay, 7.25. Now, what's nice about this is that it's just nice and easy. I just have to add the period over and over again. Plus 3.14. Okay, 10.39. Okay, good. Now, this is where I'm going to stop, because if I try to add pi again, I see I get a value that's above 12. So this is where I start. So these answers, these 4, are part of my solution set, but negative 2.17 isn't, because I'm not interested in any negative values. And so now we do the same thing here. Negative 0.26 plus pi gives me 2.88 plus pi again, 6.02, still good, plus 3.14, 9.16, plus 3.14, I'm over the number. So there's the rest of my solutions. Okay, so I'd probably be happy if you just leave it like this, but technically, I guess if you want to specify the solution set, what are the solutions? Well, x can be equal to 0.97, then we'll go to 2.88, then 4.11, 6.02, 7.25, 9.16, and 10.39. And there's all the values of x that solve this equation between 0 and 12 inclusive. Okay, so just to do a quick recap here. It's 4 steps to solving a trigonometric equation. Step 1, solve for the trig ratio. Step 2, determine 2 values that have that ratio, in this case here for sine, so that gives us 2 values for 2x plus 4. Okay, solve for the variable to get the actual solutions, and then from there keep adding or subtracting the period. Now remember that sometimes you have to calculate the period if there's a coefficient in front of the x, so keep adding and subtracting the period until you achieve all the possible answers within the range of values that you were given. Okay, that's it for this one.